Hello and welcome back, everybody. As we ended last week's part 3 of Prince Charles's friendship with Peter Ball, it is inevitable that we'll start part 3b, a continuance of Charles's friendships and connections with his friendship with Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile was indeed the person responsible for propelling Ball into the royal orbit. As we have come to know, mostly after the death of Savile, he was guilty of many SA offences. And I don't mean South African offences, okay? Anyway, it has also become known that he, Savile, had committed a number of offences in Sussex at the time when Ball was bishop there. Prince Charles and Savile met in the late 1970s when both were supporting wheelchair sport charities and were very close in the 80s and 90s. It is said that Prince Charles even went so far as to ask Savile's advice on health policies and to read over some of his speeches. It is claimed that Savile was a regular visitor to Highgrove and St. James's Palace, and was even invited to meetings at Highgrove being held to discuss closures to certain emergency services. Although Clarence House denied the allegation, it is said that Savile even gave marriage guidance counselling to Charles and Diana. Dickie Arbiter, who handled media relations for Charles and Diana and was spokesperson for the Queen between 1988 and 2000, said that Savile's behaviour at St. James's Palace was a cause for concern and suspicion. He recalls how Savile would run his mouth up the bare arms of women working there or young women working there. But when asked whether staff might have suffered abuse and whether Charles had taken any action to find out if anyone in his family or staff had suffered any abuse, another spokesperson told The Guardian, "We have no record of anyone making a complaint." Dickie Arbiter, however, recalls himself calling Savile a court jester and calling him an old reprobate. It is highly unlikely that Princess Diana knew or had an inkling of Savile's deviant behaviour, but it is known that she did not like him much and found him creepy and recoiled from him after he once licked her hand. However, Diana's feelings towards Savile did not seem to influence Charles's loyalty and friendship with him. In 1999, Charles accepted an invitation to a private meal at Savile's Glencoe home, after which Charles sent him a Christmas card reading, "Jimmy, with affectionate greetings from Charles, give my love to your ladies in Scotland." Charles also sent him a box of cigars and a pair of gold cufflinks on his 80th birthday, with a note that read, "Nobody will ever know what you have done for this country, Jimmy. This is to go some way in thanking you for that." Of course, we now know that Savile preyed on the vulnerable, and those he knew were unlikely to talk about his actions, and that a lot of the abuse and nefarious actions took place at places like the Stoke Mandeville Hospital, Broadmoor, etc. It is even alleged that doctors and managers at these various hospitals and institutions were afraid to challenge Jimmy Savile over his free access to wards out of fear that he would take his fundraising millions elsewhere. Jimmy Savile died in 2011 before he was exposed. To date, it is believed that there may be 500 or more persons who may have been abused by Savile, but the ones we do know about, their stories are too graphic to tell here. Another one of Prince Charles's friendships I would like to look into a little before we move on to other things is his relationship with South African writer Lourens van der Post, or as we say here in South Africa, Lourens van der Post. Prince Charles and van der Post bonded over their shared interest in psychoanalyst Carl Gustav Jung, who van der Post had been friends with, allegedly. But it is said that Charles and van der Post had something else in common. Laurens van der Post had a wife and a long-term mistress. His and Charles's hero, Jung, also had two women in his life, and van der Post saw nothing wrong in Charles having a wife and a mistress. Charles even made the 75-year-old Prince William's godfather, even though everybody else thought it was absolutely absurd to give a 75-year-old that role. Van der Post was also an immense flatterer. Van der Post's letters to Charles show him constantly praising Charles and even comparing him with the, quote, finest thinkers of our time. After van der Post's death in London in 1996, more about his private life became known to the public in allegations made in his official biography. The biography was called The Many Lives of Lourens van der Post, or Laurens van der Post, as they say in the UK. In the book, the author, J.D.F. Jones, said that instead of van der Post being a war hero and wise man of the African wilderness, he was a compulsive, wishful thinker, a master liar whose accounts about himself was either untrue, embellished, or exaggerated. Jones recounted how van der Post seduced a girl called Bonnie Kohler Baker when she was only 14, but when she fell pregnant, she never heard from him again. He left his first wife, Marjorie, and their children on their own for long periods and met his second wife while she was still married. Laurens van der Post died 2 days after he had been due to celebrate his 90th birthday at a party organized by Prince Charles, and which was then cancelled at the last moment because he had fallen ill. Laurens van der Post wrote 26 books and served in the British Army. That much is true. So, my friends, that was part 3B of Who is Prince Charles, his friends and connections. In part 4, we'll look into his relationship with women, and then we'll circle back to his business and property portfolio. So, until we meet again on the next video, please take good care of yourselves, and from me, as always, bye.